My hands tremble as I stand frozen behind the kitchen door of my mother's house. The lemon-scented polish on the mahogany panels reminds me of Sunday dinners and strained conversations. I grip my interior design portfolio tighter against my chest, its pages damp from my nervous fingers. Through the crack between the hinges, I see them, Greg and my mother, Linda, sitting in the sunroom. Afternoon light catches the crystal tumblers in their hands, ice cubes clinking as Mom leans forward. The sound takes me back to childhood eavesdropping, when I'd strain to hear adult conversations I wasn't meant to understand. On the counter behind me sits my birthday cake, chocolate with buttercream frosting, 32 candles in a small box beside it. Neither of them has mentioned my births today. She lives in a dream world. Mom's unmistakable voice, crisp and matter-of-fact. Madeline has real ambition. Camille just drifts. My stomach drops. They're talking about me, comparing me to my sister again. Greg says nothing, and that silence cuts deeper than any words could. I wait for his defense, for some small protection of the woman he's dated for 3 years. Instead, he clears his throat. I've been thinking the same thing lately, he admits. The portfolio suddenly weighs 100 pounds in my arms. 6 months of work, designs that won praise from actual clients, traduced to drifting. You know, Mom continues, swirling her drink. Madeline asked about you the other day. Madeline? What about me? Greg's voice perks up. She's going places with that law firm, partner track by 35. Mom's voice drops to that conspiratorial tone she uses when orchestrating something. You two would make more sense together. I press my hand against my mouth. This can't be happening. Huh. Greg's thoughtful pause stretches too long. That's interesting. She's single now, Mom adds. She's always thought you were attractive. I mean, she's beautiful, Greg says, and my world stops spinning. Anyone would notice that. My knees weaken. I step back from the door, bumping into the counter. The portfolio slips, pages spilling across the tile floor. Designs for homes I'll never create. Space never transform, meaningless now. I gather them quickly, silently, and retreat upstairs to the bathroom. The face in the mirror looks like a stranger's pale, eyes too wide. I splash cold water on my cheeks and try to breathe. In the hallway, family photos line the wall. Madeline's graduation, Madeline's tennis tournaments, Madeline's law school acceptance. My smaller accomplishments relegated to the end of the row, afterthoughts in gilded frames. Greg's birthday gift to me sits in my Percy practical kitchen mixer. Now I understand. It wasn't for me at all. It was for the woman he thought I should be. 3 months pass. I've pretended not to know, waited for signs that I misunderstood that afternoon. Tonight I'm surprising Greg with homemade lasagna, his favorite. Maybe things can still work between us. I pull into the parking lot of his apartment building an hour earlier than expected. The container of still warm pasta sits on the passenger seat beside a bottle of Chianti. Inside the building, I take the stairs rather than the elevator. Music floats down the hallway from his door, Frank Sinatra, not Greg's usual taste. Then I hear it, Madeline's laugh. That distinct, controlled sound I've known all my life. My key slides into the lock before I can think. The door swings open. They're on the sofa, hands entwined. His thumb traces circles on her wrist, the same motion he used to comfort me during thunderstorms. Madeline sees me first. She doesn't move away from Greg. Camille. Greg jumps up, face flushing. You're early. The lasagna container dangles from my fingers. It just happened, he stammers. Madeline stands, smoothing her skirt. You'll find someone more your speed, Camille, she says, not unkindly. When? The only word I can form. Greg glances at Madeline. After that talk with Mom, he admits. I place my key on the coffee table. It makes a small, final sound against the wood. Rain hammers against my bedroom window as I fold another sweater into the suitcase. The forecast on my phone shows storms all the way to the Texas border, but I can't wait another day. My bank statement glows on the screen. $4,800.53. Not much for starting over, but enough. Maps spread across my bed, Cincinnati to Austin circled in red. 20 hours of driving. 20 hours to leave behind a mother who orchestrated my replacement, a sister who took what wasn't hers to take, and a man who never really saw me at all. Dawn breaks as I pass the leaving Cincinnati sign, wiping tears with the back of my hand. Behind me, the city shrinks in my rearview mirror. Ahead, nothing but open road. I press the accelerator harder. The cockroach that lives in the corner of my shower skitters away as I turn on the water. We've established an unspoken agreement. I pretend not to see him, and he stays away from my toothbrush. My apartment measures exactly 380 square feet. I know because I paced it off the day I signed the lease, trying to convince myself it was cozy rather than claustrophobic. The yellowed wallpaper peels near the ceiling, revealing patches of something green underneath. Previous tenants' ghosts. I sit cross-legged on my mattress, directly on the floor, until I can afford a frame and stare at my laptop. The email from Maxwell Design Associates glows on the screen. My 18th rejection in 5 weeks. We appreciate your portfolio, but are seeking candidates with more extensive commercial experience. Translation: your designs aren't worth the risk. My bank balance flashes at the bottom of my screen. $3,210.53. The digital numbers shrink every day, like a countdown clock to failure. The single window in my apartment overlooks nothing but a brick wall 6 feet away. Sometimes sunlight bounces between buildings and ricochets inside for 20 minutes around noon. I've started scheduling my lunch break around this brief illumination. My phone buzzes. Sarami, one former colleague, still speaks to me. Camille, how's Austin treating you? It's an adjustment. I pull open my refrigerator, half a yogurt, wilting lettuce, and a bottle of $2 Chuck. Dinner options. Listen, I thought you should know. Sarah's voice drops. Madeline's been telling everyone you had some kind of breakdown, that you couldn't handle the pressure of real design work. The yogurt container slips from my fingers, splattering on the linoleum. She said what? She made it sound like you're unstable. Greg backed her up. I told them it was garbage, but thanks for telling me. My fingers tighten around the phone. There's more. They're official now. Facebook official, like teenagers. They moved in together last week. I hang up and check my social media accounts. My mother has blocked me on everything, every platform, like I never existed. That night I call my father, desperate for any connection to my old life. His voice warms when he recognizes mine, but then I hear Madeline's laugh in the background, the clink of silverware. Sunday dinner. My absence already filled. Dad, can I call you back tomorrow, sweetheart? We're just in the middle of... Don't bother. I end the call. 3 days later, wearing my last clean professional outfit, I sit in the waiting area of Langston Financial Advisors. The executive assistant position I'm interviewing for has nothing to do with design, but my rent is due in 2 weeks. Beggars, choosers. The receptionist waves me into an office that looks like a hurricane hit a paper factory. Stacks of folders teeter on every surface. A whiteboard covered in financial formulas takes up one wall. Behind the disaster of a desk sits a man about 40, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, dark hair prematurely graying at the temples. Eric Langston. He stands, clearing files from a chair. Sorry about the chaos. My last assistant quit. Something about impossible working conditions. His smile reveals a crooked front tooth. Camille Parker. I perch on the edge of the chair. I organized a 16-designer show house last year. Your office doesn't scare me. He raises an eyebrow. Designer? Interior design was my previous career, but I'm adaptable. Eric gestures at the mess. Clearly, organization isn't my strength. My brain works differently. He picks up my resume. No financial background? No, but I learn quickly. He studies me for a long moment. Show me your portfolio. My what? You said you're a designer. I want to see your work. I pull up my portfolio on my phone, not understanding why he's asking, but too desperate to question it. Eric scrolls through, pausing on my commercial projects. Your sense of space is interesting. Very. He searches for the word, accessible. Thank you. He hands back my phone. My client presentations are terrible. Numbers arranged like a cat walked across my keyboard. But you understand how to make complex information breathable. The next 60 minutes blur as he explains how financial advising isn't just about numbers, but about presenting information so clients can make decisions. How his brilliance with money is undermined by his inability to communicate visually. I need someone who can organize this chaos and make my ideas understandable to normal humans. Eric taps his desk. The job is yours if you want it. For the first time in weeks, a genuine smile cracks across my face. Within days, I meet Doris, the office manager who brings me homemade banana bread and keeps tissue boxes hidden in strategic desk drawers for the emotional clients. Miguel, another assistant, starts teaching me financial basics over lunch. Even Vernon, the building janitor, offers rides home on late nights when the buses stop running. I create a color-coded filing system for Eric's client portfolios, design templates for his presentations that translate numbers into visual stories. While he meets with clients, I stay late, absorbing investment concepts through osmosis and Miguel's patient explanations. One night, Eric finds me still at my desk at 9 p.m., restructuring his quarterly report. You've done more in 3 weeks than my last assistant did in 6 months, he says, leaning against my doorframe. I just applied design principles to financial data. I shrug. Visual hierarchy, negative space, intuitive flow. You think differently, that's valuable here. My first bonus check buys a used Honda with questionable brakes but functioning air conditioning. My apartment slowly transforms with salvaged furniture I refinish on weekends, paint samples I sweet talk from hardware stores. At night, I sketch business concepts in a notebook while eating takeout on my new secondhand couch, ideas forming like shadows taking shape. 3 months in, I fall asleep without crying for the first time since leaving Cincinnati. A week later, Eric drops a stack of papers on my desk and perches on the edge, his typical preamble to a complicated request. I'm starting my own firm, he says. Smaller, more focused, with clients who align with my investment philosophy. Congratulations, I reply, already calculating how long my emergency fund will last until I find another job. Want to come along? Eric asks, as casually as offering coffee. I look up, searching his face for the punchline. There isn't one. The brass key sticks in the lock. I jiggle it twice before the door to our makeshift office finally swings open. Morning light filters through dusty Venetian blinds, illuminating the rented 2-bedroom apartment that has served as Arbor Point Capital's headquarters for the past 4 months. Home sweet home, I whisper to myself. The dining room tablier mahogany piece I rescued from an estate sale in South Austin dominates what should be a living room. Coffee rings stain its surface despite the coasters I've strategically placed. 3 mismatched chairs surround it, each one with its own story. A high-backed leather executive chair for Eric, a mid-century modern piece for me, and a practical office chair with wheels for whoever visits. I run my fingers along the table's edge, remembering the Saturday I spent refinishing it. 6 coats of varnish by hand. My back had ached for days. My heels click against the hardwood as I make my way to the kitchen, now converted into our document storage. The cabinets hold file folders instead of plates. The countertop supports a printer and coffee maker essentials ranked in that exact order. Last night's takeout containers tower precariously in the trash. Chinese food cartons from our midnight strategy session. I make a mental note to empty it before the smell permeates our presentation materials. The door opens again. Eric appears, his tie already loosened though the day has barely begun. Dark circles shadow his eyes, matching mine. He holds 2 coffee cups, extending one toward me. You're early, he says, voice still rough with sleep. Couldn't sleep, kept thinking about the Dixon meeting. He nods, understanding without words. We've been preparing for weeks. Our first real investor pitch happens in 3 hours. We just need one yes, he reminds me. After yesterday's no, you mean? The rejection still stings. The venture capitalist hadn't even looked at our full presentation before dismissing us. Too risky, he'd said, glancing at his watch repeatedly. Eric sets his coffee down and loosens his tie further. Maybe I'm asking too much of you, he says quietly. This isn't what you signed up for. The words hang between us. I think about the text I received this morning, an invitation to Madeline's law firm celebration. Partner track at 34. Mother must be thrilled. I signed up for exactly this, I reply, straightening a stack of presentations. Building something that matters. My phone buzzes again. Father this time. A photo of Mom and Madeline at some charity gala. I silence the phone and slip it into my desk drawer. Later that night, after Dixon becomes our second rejection, I sit alone in my apartment. The phone feels heavy in my hand as I scroll to home and my contacts. My thumb hovers over the call button. What would I even say? The digital clock on my nightstand flips to 11:43 p.m. I set the phone down without calling. This isn't working. I push away from the dining room table at 3 a.m., a week after our second rejection. Eric looks up from his laptop, eyes red-rimmed from staring at spreadsheets. The pitch. It's all numbers and projections. It's soulless. He runs a hand through his hair. Investors want numbers. They want stories backed by numbers. I pull my chair around next to his. Look at our prospects. They all have in common. Eric glances at the list. They're all commercial real estate. Exactly. What if we specialize? Focus on green businesses, minority entrepreneurs, people who struggle to get traditional funding. His expression shifts from exhaustion to interest. That's more work, not less. But it gives us purpose, a story. It's why we do this, isn't it? Not just to make money, but to make a difference. By sunrise, we've rebuilt the entire presentation. 3 days later, Sapphire Solar becomes our first client, a small renewable energy startup, led by a former engineer with vision but no connections. You see what others miss, Eric tells me as we watch Sapphire's CEO leave our office. That's invaluable. Summer fades to fall. The takeout containers multiply as our client list grows. Late nights blur together, Eric and I hunched over strategy documents, his sleeves rolled up, my hair twisted into a messy bun secured with a pencil. My father didn't speak to me for 2 years after I left his firm, Eric says one night. It's the first personal information he's volunteered beyond professional necessity. Why did you leave? I ask, setting down the report I've been reviewing. He wanted me to be someone I'm not, Eric's voice softens. Someone acceptable. I recognize the weight of that word. Acceptable. Not exceptional or beloved, just sufficient. My mother once told me that dreams don't pay mortgages, I offer in return. He smiles, a rare full smile that transforms his serious face. Mothers can be wrong. The weeks pass, small victories accumulate. Sapphire Solar brings us a medical tech company. The medical tech company introduces us to a sustainable packaging firm. Our network expands through trust, not cold calls. We celebrate our 5th client with dinner at a real restaurant instead of takeout at the office. The candlelight softens Eric's features. Mid-sentence about growth projections, he reaches across the table and covers my hand with his. The conversation stalls. His thumb traces a small circle on my wrist. I pull my hand away, heart racing. I can't. He doesn't press. I understand, but he doesn't. How can I explain that I'm not who I was in Cincinnati? That I'm still discovering who I might become? On a Tuesday in April, exactly 1 year after I first walked into his chaotic office seeking any job that would pay rent, Eric hands me a business card. My name sits under his, with partner embossed in clean serif font. It's official, he says. Filed the paperwork last week. Our apartment office now houses 5 employees. We taken over the unit next door, knocked out a wall. The dining room table remains our conference table. though now it's surrounded by proper chairs and accompanied by a whiteboard and projector. I don't know what to say, I manage. Say you'll stop working until midnight every night. We can afford help now. I laugh. Says the man who emailed me at 2 a.m. with budget revisions. His smile fades into something more serious. We built this, Camille. Not just a company. Something that matters. 3 weeks later, he kisses me for the first time. Not in the office, but on a rare day off. We're at Zilker Park, the office phone's forwarded to our new administrative assistant. When his lips meet mine, I don't pull away. I'm not who I was when I came to Austin, I whisper against his mouth. His hands frame my face, gentle but certain. I know exactly who you are now. I've watched you build yourself while we built this company. 6 months later, we marry in his backyard. 18 guest people who know us as we are now, not as we once were. No family, no Madeline or mother or Greg. No small talk over cake about the past. Just witnesses to what we've become, to what we're still becoming. My reflection stares back at me from the glass wall of Arbor Point Capital's 32nd floor conference room. 4 years ago, I slept in a car on my way to Austin. Now our company, Lagoa, strong oak with spreading branches, stretches across 3 states. The wall displays my 40 under 40 feature, where they called me an operational genius. Beside it hangs our gratitude gallery, dozens of framed thank you letters. You saved my father's legacy, one reads. Arbor Point believed in us when no one else would, says another. Each represents a business we rebuilt, a family dream preserved. Cleveland makes strategic sense, Eric says, tapping the presentation slide. Their client portfolio complements ours. Their operational inefficiencies are exactly what Camille excels at streamlining. Our board members nod. After 4 years watching me transform companies, they've stopped questioning my methods. Then Eric clicks to the next slide, and my coffee cup freezes halfway to my lips. There on the screen is the executive team of Midwest Financial Partners. Third from the right stands Greg Mitchell, his hairline receding slightly, his smile just as practiced as I remember it. My stomach tightens into a knot I haven't felt in years. Camille? Eric's voice breaks through the sudden fog. I set my cup down with a steady hand. Sorry. Just noting their organizational structure. After the meeting, I discover another complication. The law firm handling the merger paperwork is Hamilton, Bright, and Associates, Madeline's firm. We can assign someone else to lead this acquisition. Eric offers that evening, concern etching lines around his eyes. No, I close my laptop. I'll handle it myself. That night, I examine Greg's performance evaluations from the due diligence files. Strong relationship skills, one reads, but lacks follow-through on complex projects. Another notes his tendency to align with the loudest voice in the room. His salary history shows lateral moves but no substantial advancement. The client retention statistics tell the real story. He keeps the easy accounts and loses the challenging ones. You don't have to do this, Eric says, climbing into bed beside me. I want to. We'll announce at the gala, I decide. Complete transparency, full press coverage. In the morning, my phone buzzes with a LinkedIn notification. Greg Mitchell has sent you a connection request. His message reads, looking forward to working together. Always knew you'd be successful. I laugh without humor. By afternoon, Madeline's law firm partner calls me directly, bypassing our legal team. Madeline recommended I reach out personally, he says. I imagine her in her corner office, orchestrating this call, trying to position herself advantageously as always. All communications should go through proper channels, I reply, my voice professionally polite but firm. That evening, a friend request from Linda Parker appears on my social media, the first contact attempt in 4 years. Her profile picture shows her at a charity gala, diamond earrings catching the light. I leave it unanswered. The next day, I visit a boutique owned by a designer whose business Arbor Point helped save from bankruptcy 2 years ago. She unveils a sapphire gown that captures the exact color of our company logo. For the gala, she says, pride evident in her voice. My gift to you. We're reviewing the acquisition team staffing tomorrow, I tell her. Performance will determine everyone's future. I spend the afternoon driving through my old Cincinnati neighborhood. The maple trees my father loved are taller now, their leaves beginning to turn gold at the edges. I slow past my mother's house, but don't stop. Whatever I needed from that place, I have built for myself elsewhere. Back at the hotel, Eric speaks quietly on the phone, arranging additional security for tomorrow night. Just in case emotions run high, he says, covering the receiver. Better to be prepared. When he finishes, I practice my speech in front of the mirror. The words are strong but not vindictive, professional without being cold. This isn't about revenge, it's about closing a chapter. Are you sure you're ready to face them? Eric asks, adjusting his tie. I've been ready for 4 years. I turn from the mirror. They'll meet Camille Langston, Chief Operating Officer of Arbor Point Capital. Not Camille Parker, the girl who wasn't good enough. Eric walks over and takes my hands. Remember, you're not the girl who left. You're the woman who built an empire. I squeeze his fingers, then reach for my lipstick. Below us, limousines already line the entrance to the grand ballroom, where Arbor Point's elegant branding transforms the space. The guest list sits on the desk, 3 names highlighted. Gregory Mitchell, Madeline Parker, Linda Parker. They have no idea who's waiting for them. Eric's hand rests at the small of my back as we linger in the hotel corridor. Through the ballroom's double doors, the murmur of 200 guests ripples like water over stones. My sapphire gown catches the light, transforming ordinary movements into quiet declarations of power. Ready? Eric asks, his voice low enough that only I can hear. I take a breath that fills not just my lungs, but the spaces where doubt once lived. Fashionably late, just as planned. We step inside, and the room shifts. Conversations falter mid-sentence. Heads turn like compass needles finding north. I recognize faces from Cincinnati society pages, business journals, and childhood memories, all wearing the same expression of stunned recalibration. That's Camille Parker, someone whispers, the words traveling across the room in ripples. Through the crowd, I spot Greg by the bar. The champagne flute in his hand freezes halfway to his mouth when our eyes meet. 4 years evaporate in that moment. The boy who once told my mother I just drifted now stands slack, jawed at the sight of the woman I've become. Eric's fingers intertwine with mine, grounding me. Your ex-boyfriend looks like he's seen a ghost, he murmurs. Not a ghost, I reply, just someone he never really saw. Madeline approaches first, cutting through the crowd with the precision of a surgeon's blade. Her smile appears genuine from a distance. Up close, it doesn't reach her eyes. The tailored black dress and pearls look exactly like something our mother would choose. Camille, what a surprise, she says, her voice carrying that same controlled laugh I heard through Greg's apartment door 4 years ago. I extend my hand, professional, neither cold nor warm. Madeline, I believe you know my husband, Eric. Madeline's eyes flick to the platinum band on my left hand, then to Eric's 6'3" frame and confident stance. The mental calculations play across her face like slides on a projector. Husband? I hadn't heard, congratulations. Behind her, Greg hovers at an awkward distance, too cowardly to approach, too curious to retreat. Through my peripheral vision, I spot Mom, Linda, making her way toward us with the determined stride of a woman with a plan. Her hair is slightly grayer, but her posture remains military straight, her smile already fixed in place. She's wearing the same perfume she wore when I was a child. Chanel number 5. The scent of Sunday dinners and withering critiques. There's my successful daughter, Linda announces, arms outstretched as if we've maintained a close relationship through weekly phone calls rather than 4 years of silence. She attempts to embrace me. I accept a brief, formal hug that resembles a business greeting more than a mother-daughter reunion. I always knew you had potential, she continues, undeterred. When I heard about Arbor Point Capital expanding into Cincinnati, I told everyone, That's my Camille. The words land like counterfeit bills on a banker's desk, familiar in shape but worthless in substance. Linda pivots without missing a beat. Madeline's firm is so excited about this partnership. They've assigned her personally to oversee the legal transition. Actually, Madeline interjects, suddenly animated, we've prepared all the preliminary paperwork. Perhaps you could help me lead this merger, Camille. Given our history, we'd make a formidable team. Eric's hand tightens slightly around mine, not possessive but protective. He's witnessed enough of these dynamics during our late-night conversations to recognize the chess moves being made. I smile, not the hesitant smile of the woman who once stood behind kitchen doors clutching rejected designs, but the measured smile of someone who signs seven-figure checks. Everyone's performance will determine their path just like mine did. I reply, the subtle emphasis on performance making Greg's face drain of color. Eric isn't just my husband. He's my partner in all things. I turn slightly toward Eric, including him in this moment rather than seeking rescue. Business decisions will be based on merit alone. That's how we've built our success. Madeline's smile tightens. She tries a different angle, addressing Eric directly. You must be the visionary here. Your investment strategies are legendary already. We built this together. I correct her gently. That's the Arbor Point difference. We recognize talent regardless of where it comes from. Some of our most successful partnerships began with people who were underestimated. Linda's eyes narrow slightly, recognition dawning that her daughter is no longer accessible through the old channels of manipulation. She watches as three executives approach to introduce themselves to me. Not to Eric, not to both of us, but specifically to me. Across the room, Greg frantically works the crowd, shaking hands with board members, laughing too loudly at jokes. His desperation is palpable, the anxiety of a man who suddenly realizes his career rests in the hands of someone he discarded. At precisely 8:30, the event coordinator signals me toward the stage. The room quiets as I approach the microphone, 200 faces turned expectantly toward mine. Thank you for joining us tonight. I begin, my voice steady. Arbor Point Capital was founded on a simple premise. Transformation is possible when we invest in overlooked potential. The lights illuminate faces in the crowd. Some curious, some calculating, some openly admiring. Sometimes losing everything shows you what you're truly capable of building, I continue. 4 years ago, I left Cincinnati with less than $5,000 and a car full of belongings. Today, we manage a portfolio worth over $2 billion, focused on businesses that create sustainable change. I don't look at Mom, Madeline, or Greg. This moment isn't about them. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce the creation of the Arbor Point Second Chance Foundation, a mentorship program for women rebuilding their lives after personal or professional setbacks. Because sometimes, what feels like betrayal becomes the catalyst for your greatest transformation. In the front row, Eric's eyes hold mine. Proud, loving, steady. The man who saw possibility where others saw only limitations. I raise my glass to second chances and the urge to take them. I kick off my heels the moment we walk through our front door, the sapphire gown me armor for tonight's battle pooling around my ankles as I sink into our sofa. Eric loosens his tie and returns with leftover cake and 2 forks. Nothing says I conquered my past like chocolate ganache at midnight, he says. I laugh, the sound unfamiliar after years of guarding my joy. As I remove the borrowed diamond earrings, Eric watches me. Was it what you expected to feel? He asks. The question hangs between us. Standing face to face with Linda, Madeline, and Greg felt nothing like my imagination. I thought I'd feel triumphant, I admit, like I'd won something they couldn't take away, but I just feel free. Eric nods, understanding without words. Their betrayal forced me to become someone I never knew existed. I continue. That tiny apartment with the brick wall view? I hated it. But without it, there would be no Arbor Point, no foundation, no us. Their cruelty didn't destroy you. It freed you, Eric says, taking my hand. though watching your mother position herself as your biggest supporter was quite the performance. We laugh as I mimic Linda's voice. I always told Camille she was destined for greatness. Did you see Greg's face when you announced the performance reviews? Eric asks. Miguel texted during dinner. Greg's already requested a transfer to another department. And Madeline's firm? Doris called the general counsel. We're using Mason and Blake's for the remaining acquisitions. I feel no pleasure in this just clean satisfaction of decisions made on merit rather than emotion. My phone buzzes the 5th time tonight. Linda's messages progress from congratulatory to desperate. We should catch up. Just us girls, too. Your father misses you terribly. And finally, I always believed in you when no one else did. Will you answer her? Eric asks. Eventually, with professional courtesy and firm boundaries. The words come easily now, though they took years of therapy to form. I notice an envelope with unfamiliar handwriting among the morning mail. It's from a young woman who read my 40 under 40 profile. She left everything after her fiancé and best friend betrayed her. I tell Eric, my voice catching. Reading her words, I see myself 4 years ago, the same raw pain, the same determination beneath fear. Her handwriting even slants right like mine used to. The first scholarship recipient? Eric asks. I nod. And the apartment complex I closed on yesterday, 6 units for women starting over. Unlike my first place, these have windows facing the sunrise, not brick walls. Arbor Point with purpose beyond profit, Eric murmurs, quoting our new mission statement. In my office hangs a single photograph of that first Austin apartment, not to remind me of pain, but to honor the woman who refused to break. Beside it sits my memoir draft, titled, The Whisper That Changed Everything. 3 weeks later, I stand alone outside my old family home in Cincinnati. The maple tree has grown taller, its leaves turning gold. The curtains are different cream instead of blue. New owners, new life. I expected coming back would be harder, but I feel nothing but gratitude. Every painful memory has transformed into a stepping stone that led me exactly where I needed to go. My phone buzzes with a text from Eric. The board approved our Dallas expansion. Ready when you are. I smile and walk away without looking back. Have you ever realized that what you thought was your greatest loss became your greatest blessing? Camille's journey shows how betrayal can lead to unexpected triumph. Share your own story of overcoming betrayal in the comments. What freedom did you find on the other side?